It is another edition of Time About the Movies, and today we're wrapping up October 2009 by taking a look at the 3 films released on October 28th. Yeah, much smaller than the last couple of weeks where we've had 6 movies apiece, and yeah, only 3 movies, but they're 3 notable movies in various ways. And let's start off with the biggest new release of the weekend, the footage that Michael Jackson had planned for his big concert that he was going to have before his death in the summer of 2009. Michael Jackson, this is it.
This is the moment. This is it. It's an adventure. It's a great adventure. I love you. I really do. Let's do it one more time.
Michael Jackson's This Is It. Rated PG.
Let's all for love. Love.
In theaters everywhere October 28th.
So as you get a sense from the trailer there, it's basically a mix of a concert film and a documentary in which segments of $60 million worth of footage is featured throughout the film through 3 different practice sessions featuring Jackson's highly anticipated sold-out This Is It concerts in London. Now, of course, that didn't happen because he passed away in June of that year. The essential Jackson songs, Thriller, Bad, Black and White, The Way You Make Me Feel, Billie Jean, Wanna Be Starting Stuff in a Man in the Mirror, all featured in this movie along with some others, including a new song, This Is It, which I think is probably his best song he's done since You're Not Alone. And I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. I mean, this is a movie that I think that most people, when they saw it, you know, we get this, you know, how we always say, like, you know, there's all this lost footage that doesn't get put out there because the person died and all that. But here's Sony coming out and saying, okay, we'll put it out. I mean, why not put out something with the stuff from Michael Jackson? I mean, and this stuff that he has here was going to be something very impressive. And lo and behold, in the movie, yeah, it's a really impressive feat that they're able to do here. Now, granted, yeah, it could feel like they were just trying to cash in on, you know, Michael Jackson just because he passed away not too long after this. And I mean, but then again, the Jackson estate has done more than that since then. I mean, there's been albums that have come out since that have been basically just them, you know, trying to get as much money as they can from the big Michael Jackson fans out there, which there still is out there, no matter what the guy did in his personal life. You cannot deny that this guy was such a damn good entertainer. I mean, there was a reason why he's considered he's literally the king of pop, because, man, this thing that he had planned was something really, really impressive, and it shows on screen. I mean, this is a really good movie, man. It was a really impressive feat overall. I mean, it just works. It's a really good movie. It's a film that just keeps you enthralled all across it, seeing the last moments of this great entertainer, and it gives you what you want to see. It never feels like they're doing this solely because we're just getting it out there for a quick cash grab. They wanted you to see this stuff and see this guy one last time, because you're never going to see him again in real life at this point. I mean, so yeah, why not go ahead and just do that? I mean, it's a movie that I think works really well on that front alone. It's a film that really is very well done. It delivers everything it promises, and you get to see some new talent in there too. Like, the great thing about this movie is that it's not just Michael Jackson that's being the focus of it. You see a lot of people in here that would eventually go on to have success in their own rights. For a lot of people, this was their first time seeing Orianthi, the Australian guitarist, singer, and songwriter who actually had a career after this movie came out. I mean, this was a film where everyone got to see her for the first time. Judith Hill is somebody that you'll recognize in the movie, who's later gone on to become a singer in her own right. Now, of course, she became more well-known for being part of the documentary 20 Feet from Stardom, which ended up winning the Oscar that year for Best Documentary. So there are a lot of notable things about this movie all across the board. Of course, this is directed by Kenny Ortega, who had a pretty good early part of the year directing 17 again, which stars Zac Efron, which is another really good movie. But this is a film that it really delivers everything you can ask for and then some. It's a movie that delivers everything you want. It's a movie that gives you what you want to see from Michael Jackson without ever feeling like it's manipulative in any way, shape, or form. What this guy had planned seemed like it was going to be really, really awesome. And the fact that we got to see it because of this movie, you got to give it the proper credit it deserves. It's a really good movie. I can't recommend it enough. It's one of my favorite films from that year. Michael Jackson's This Is It. Terrific, terrific stuff. So with all that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is The Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day.
Something's happened. You kill a priest in a church and make it look like it was them. Bring them back with a vengeance. Only one problem with this little plan was that What?
Social flow river 43. Continuous soul show therapy. Contact field. Spiritus Sancti.
Well, that was perhaps one of the finest examples of spiritual guidance I've ever had the good fortune to witness.
Catch the Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day, in epic weekends. Saturday, 30th March at 10:30 p.m. on Z Studio HD.
So thanks in large part to the cult status of the original Boondock Saints, the sequel comes 10 years after the original film, and it's set 8 years after the events of the first film, where you follow Irish fraternal twin brothers Connor and Murphy McManus, played once again by Sean Patrick Flannery and Norman Reedus, who live a quiet life in Ireland with their father Noah, played by Billy Connolly, formerly known as Il Duce. However, when an assassin frames the twins for the murder of a Catholic priest, they return to Boston and join forces with a Mexican underground fighter, played by Clifton Collins Jr., and an FBI special agent, played by Julie Benz, who's a former protege of Paul Smecker. Now, for the most part, the movie is pretty much your typical sequel. I mean, it's a movie where they basically have redone the same story all over again, except now it's years later, and not really much has changed compared to the last movie. It doesn't go down that level of, bad comedy sequels where they're just like the characters are dumbed down again. That doesn't go down that route in particular, but for the most part, yeah, it is pretty much the same movie as the first film, and because of that, it's not that great of a sequel overall, but it's not one of the worst sequels ever. I've seen far worse sequels that have been just, here we go again setups here, and I think there is a lot of cool stuff that they do here in this movie to give it kind of its own edge here, and it does enough to say, hey, it's worth it just on that front there. But other than that, though, it's just nothing more than a retread of the first movie, and I think if you really like the first movie a lot, you're definitely going to find, you'll be a little bit underwhelmed by this, but you'll still enjoy it. If you're coming into this relatively new, it's not going to work for you overall. So yeah, I would say just watch the first movie and be done with it, but it's fine for what it is. Boondock Saints 2, All Saints Day, not really a necessary sequel, but certainly is much better than some of the sequels that just don't have any reason to exist whatsoever. And there's tons of them, but this one I think is just fine for what it is, so take it for what you will. With that said, let's go ahead and move on to the last film we have here, the latest film from Jared Hess, director of Nacho Libre and Napoleon Dynamite. Here's his first R-rated film, Gentlemen Broncos.
Dusty, I want you to meet Benjamin. I noticed you didn't have any friends, so I signed you up for the Guardian Angel program at church.
Your mom's smoking hot. I play my cards right. Maybe someday I'll be your real guardian. Good morning, homeschoolers.
You're really gonna enjoy the best writers' camp in the state.
I'd like to introduce you to one of the greatest science fiction authors of our time, Ronald Chevalier.
I'm assuming you love to write fantasy fiction, except the character names in your stories are suffering. Need thou not be afraid? We can add Onius, Ainus, or Anus to just about anything, and it becomes magical.
So when are you gonna let me read one of your stories?
I've let my mom read a few, but they've just made her cry. Give me this. Bronco and Benai began their assault on the East Factory.
Bronco.
I am your soldier.
I'll cut to the chase. Unless you can give us something worth taking to print, we're just gonna have to let you go.
Bronco. I can do better. Broncanus.
I think I said before, this is his first R-rated movie, and yeah, as you could tell, this is basically the equivalent of what happens when a spoiled brat of a kid grows up and realizes that he can do whatever he wants to and goes on a drinking binge and starts going around drinking alcohol and committing crimes and all that type of stuff. That's literally what's happening with this movie, because my God, what a drastic turn from Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre to this. Be glad I stopped the trailer there, because that right there should have been this point where it's just like, okay, I gotta stop it right here. But it's about a teenage author played by Michael Angarano, whose fantasy story is plagiarized by an established author played by Jermaine Clement. And you also have Jennifer Coolidge and Sam Rockwell among the cast here. And yeah, this movie, oh boy, this film is a really, really bad movie. And it's bad because of stuff like the end of that trailer there, you know, the gross out humor. Like, everything's got to have, you know, instead of it being it's being Bronco, it's called Broncanus, because anus is funny. It's poop. It's where poop comes from. And if that was the only bit of potty humor in this movie, I probably would have let it slid, but no, it gets even worse from that. You know, there's scenes in this movie where, you know, there's a part in the movie where one character always wants to sell a popcorn ball, but his mother forces him to sell them as a set, so now he's carrying a pair of popcorn balls, like a popcorn nutsack. And yeah, that's one of the jokes they have. Mike White has a character in here who has a snake that has explosive diarrhea. There's a scene where the main character is throwing up in somebody's mouth while they're kissing a girl, and it's just like, who was this movie made for? I mean, if you want to get a sense of the stupid movie that a Minecraft movie would be, this is the film that really was the point where the shit was literally hitting the fan with Jared Hess. I mean, this was the movie that really was the beginning of the destruction of his career, because after this, he never recovered from that. And this was such a disastrous movie, man. There was not one single moment in here that was funny. There's not one moment in here that is clever. It's a lazy, poorly written movie that, like I said, literally feels like something where the kid snuck out of his parents' house and took the dad's credit card and went on a binge and went to drinking and crashing cars. Like, that's what this movie literally feels like. It's that bad of a movie. It's a terrible film, and like I said, it's where the downfall of Jared Hess begins, and it's only going to get worse from here. So yeah, not much more to say about this one except yeah, screw Gentlemen Broncos. Terrible, terrible movie. And so, on that lovely note, we wrap up another edition of Time About the Movies. And the next time we meet, we head to the beginning of the holiday season. You know, we'll start November off with a new Christmas movie. Robert Zemeckis, the same man who gave us The Polar Express 5 years ago, tackles back into the world of CG animation thanks to Jim Carrey and a Charles Dickens classic with Disney's A Christmas Carol. We also have George Clooney, Ewan McGregor, Jeff Bridges, and Kevin Spacey in the star-studded war comedy The Men Who Stare at Goats. We have Mila Jovovich in a movie that is very similar to one of the biggest hits at that time, The Fourth Kind. And we also have James Marsden, Cameron Diaz, and Frank Langella in The Box, based off of a story by Stephen King and directed by Donnie Darko director Richard Kelly. And we also have Gabourey Sidibe and Monique in her Academy Award-winning role in Lee Daniels' Precious, based on the novel Pushed by Sapphire. So we got 5 big notable movies that we'll take a look at tomorrow on the show. So definitely be on the lookout for that. With all that said, though, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, go ahead and hit that playlist on the next page. Check out the previous episode. And also don't forget to hit the like button, the subscribe button, the notification button, and the bell so you get updates on when new videos come out. And we do post new videos here every day. So with all that said, I'm off. I'll see you guys next time. And until then, as always, take care.